Please click the like button, share and subscribe. It's free.
You know what I like about Dali is that there was a meeting of the opposition parties which was called by Zuma. And I said, I'm not going. So I asked Floyd and Marshall to attend the SG. They went and Dali was there. Dali went to make a presentation of a paper in that first meeting where he said the EFF must close down with the other parties and then form something under Zuma's leadership. I mean, things happen the way they happen. I mean, Floyd and Marshall, you know him, he's just there and he speaks when it is necessary. But Floyd is the one who was leading the discussion. Who said, no ways, it's not going to happen, and all of that. And then he comes back extremely shocked that Dali is not only proposing it, he has written it down. He has had time to think about it and wrote it down. So I said, no, so then we agreed that we must meet, all parties must go consult their leadership, blah, blah. What is our position? I said, but that's madness. We can't do that. We closed the EFF to Zuma. Not 1 year. It was not even formed at that time. To what? Like, to do what? I don't understand that. Then, perhaps Dali realizes they are not doing a good job. He comes himself to me when they were all there as the officials in the 5th floor. He says, no, he wants to see me. I said, no, sharp, come. But I knew what he was going to tell me. So I brought Floyd and I brought Marshall into the meeting. And then he said that, he says, so I told him, no, it's not going to happen. I don't agree with that. And there's no EFF that is going to close shop. In his skillful way, you know, him says, okay, plus we're late now in the elections. Maybe after the elections, we can engage about it again. I said, no problem. And then, again, Floyd and Marshall went back to the meeting to give their party structures a position. They came back and said to me, the president of ATM, Zungula, said, of all of us here, parties, the only party with a national footprint, which is properly established with machinery, is the EFF. Let's collapse this thing. Let's collapse all of us into the EFF. Olomisa was in that meeting. That president of the PAC was there. I don't know if Carl Neos was there or what. They were all there. I still refuse. I said, I'm not going. I'm not part. I don't agree with that. And then, that's what they said. Zungula is the one who said, actually, the EFF is the way. Then Zuma responded and said, no. Can you imagine an old person voting for EFF? These old people will never agree to vote for the EFF. And he told them the footprint of how, if we come together, we're going to get the votes from where, and all of that. And then after the second meeting, we came back. Then they said, no, Zuma wants to see me. 4 eyes. I said, no problem, I'll go. Dali says he's going to come, but I already know what Dali is up to. So I bring Vuyani. I said, Vuyani, let's go together. No, when we entered the meeting, President Zuma asked me to stay in the meeting with him. And then Dali and some other chubby guy, I can't remember what was his name, but he came from President Zuma's side, and Vuyani asked them to excuse us so that we can have a discussion. So I remained with President Zuma. He started making that presentation and all of that. But Floyd told me that in the first meeting, Zuma addressed them for 3 hours. In the second meeting, it was relatively better. He addressed them for 2 hours. So I said, how do you allow that? He said, hey, we're thinking maybe General will stop him or something. Hey, but we sit there and just listen. I said, no problem. So when they said he wants to see me, 10, 15 minutes into the discussion, I interjected him because at the back of my mind was like, you're not going to address me for 2 hours. It's not going to happen. Not 3 hours. I said, no, Baba, but I was thinking, you endorse the EFF. And then after endorsing the EFF, we'll have a proper discussion because we are now late, just on the eve of the elections. And then we can talk about what are the issues that you want us to take up in the immediate and all of that. And then he said, well, it's too late because I'm launching a party on the 16th of December. And I think we're like 2 weeks, 3 weeks before that. Hard luck. But let's take up this discussion after the elections. The meeting ended. If it took long, it's 20 minutes. We're done. And then we opened the door for those guys to come. They were all like, so quick. I was like, no, we know what we want. Because it was not going to happen. And I don't regret our position that which we took against President Zuma at the time. And this I asked Floyd if he thinks he has forgiven us for what we have done to him. I don't think he has forgiven us for that. And it doesn't matter, but we were not misled. We're not misled. Everything else we articulated, it was a correct position of the EFF, and it remains the correct position of the EFF. Having developed those positions around Zuma as the EFF, we now say this guy must now be our leader. We can't agree to that. We can't agree to that. So, and that's the thing I respect about Dali, because he has been open about it. He has been speaking about it, and one day, when I write a book, I will have a lot of stories to tell. Even on how Dali became Zuma's lawyer on some of these matters. So this morning, when I woke up to the news, I was like, it is what it is. Yeah. So he has sent me a message. First, he sent me a message about the birthday of his daughter turning 21st. So I didn't respond because I could see what Dali was doing. So I knew if he sends me invitation to a 21st birthday party, it means he has sent to everyone, which means we're all going to be united under Dali's leadership. And then he's going to project himself as this guy who brought all of them under one roof. So I said, no, I'm not responding because I'm not going there. And then he sent me now a text a few days after that he wants to see me urgently because he knows Parliament is in recess. He can come to the office, or I go to his house, or he comes to my house. I didn't respond. And because we're so used to this now, my wife says to me, he wants to say his goodbyes. No. I'm not good for goodbyes. So I'm fine. I don't want. So let him do what he wants to do. So we respect his decision, and there's nothing we can do about it. He has been there. I know of the work they've been doing. I know of the work he has been doing and all of that. So this has never been a shock to me. It was just about when is it about to happen. It's going to happen anytime, but we just don't know when. So it eventually happened, and we're fine.
Welcome to the SABC News. With me is the former chairperson of the EFF, Adv Dali Mpofu. We'll be sitting with him to talk about a range of issues, particularly the political space. Yes, he is a lawyer, but of course his work is certainly tied with his political work. In today's interview, in the main, we'll be more reflecting on the latest developments, on his political work, on the future, on what is currently happening.
Thank you, Mzai. It's always a pleasure, and thanks for inviting me.
Just a quick one. What do you think about the current state of affairs, given that we have a new government, new in inverted commas, the government of national unity? I know some of the people you're representing are opposed to that, but what is your own view as the former chairperson of the EFF and someone really who has a lot of political credentials?
My own view is that is opposed totally, with every bit of blood that I have, totally opposed to the so-called government of national unity. Because in my view, it represents 10 steps backward. It represents a total sell-out position, where there was an alternative for the ANC at least to have aligned itself with the progressive forces. And Mzwai, there are certain things that you might say you are doing for tactical purposes and so on. But there are certain things that you must never do. I ask the rhetorical question. The DA represents, and the Freedom Front represent, the forces that are against progress, against transformation, against equality, against redress of the past imbalances, against land redistribution. So how can you unite? How can you say you have unity with those people?
But I think the ANC, maybe to be fair to the ANC, they did not necessarily say we want to work with particular parties. They said that this will be a government of national unity, that we invite everyone, but other parties said we can only serve in that government if so and so is not there. So perhaps let's give a bit of credit to the ANC that it tried to get everyone in.
No, that's not true. That's a fallacy. That's the kind of story that they want to sell. The DA was the very first party last year, I think, in their Congress, to say they will not work if there is the EFF. They will not be party to that. Subsequently, then MK was formed. Then they added MK to say they will not work with MK and the EFF. So if that was what motivated the ANC, then they should even have bothered to phone the DA, because they knew already that they are excluding significant players.
But if you government advocate, you represent everyone. Once the elections are over, it doesn't matter who voted you into power. You are the government of all. And I think from the ANC's point of view, my thinking was that, yes, we did not get the outright majority, but we want to work with everyone because at the end of the day, we will be representing every South African.
No, but that's what I'm trying to explain. That was impossible. How could they work with everyone when the DA said they will never work with the EFF and MK? So by the time they approached the DA, they knew that stance. So they never had any genuine intention to work with everyone.
Okay. What do you think should have happened in your view?
No, I think that the progressive forces, that would be the historically progressive forces, the ANC, MK, and the EFF, should have been the ones that unite our people. Remember, those three organizations in particular, we say they come from the same umbilical cord. The leaders of the ANC, EFF, and MK, 10, 15 years ago were in the same organization. So it should have been the easiest thing to do that. And I'm saying that because I personally, I am very much invested in the issue of black and progressive unity. So when an opportunity presented itself for such unity, it will always be a tragedy that it was thrown away primarily by the ANC.
There's something that is also interesting about you as an individual, being the member of the EFF and representing people in the MK. Do you still subscribe to the EFF as you did 11 years ago?
Well, that's a very interesting question. I can put it like this. People have asked that question. My own view has always been that the EFF played a very significant role in even creating the current conditions. To be fair to the EFF, even MK, when they knocked the final blow into the ANC now, found a very soft target, if you like, because the EFF did the difficult work for the past 10 years. And the philosophy of the EFF of economic freedom is cannot be faulted. However, I am of the view now that the party that really represents my own passion for the much needed unity is MK. And I say that because MK has been so far true to the message of fostering unity. And I am of the very, very strong view that the road to our total liberation cannot be found except if you go through the bridge of total black and progressive unity.
Okay, let me just get you very clear, Advocate Mpofu. You have just said your view is that total liberation would be achieved through MK. Are you telling me that you are considering joining MK or wanting to work with MK? I just want you to be very clear there.
No, it's much more serious than that. I have taken after a lot of soul searching, I've taken a decision that I will be joining MK. And as I say, I'm joining MK because I believe that it is the vehicle through which we will achieve the much needed black and progressive unity. So I'm doing so not necessarily to reject any other organization. In fact, in a strange way, I always say I regard myself as what we would call a utility player. A part of me, I was in the ANC for 33 years, so a part of me will always be in that organization. I was in the EFF for 11 years, so a part of me will always be in that organization. And when I say a part of me, I mean that I've worked for those organizations, I've invested in them. But at this point in time, in November 2024, I am of the view that the vehicle through which we should drive that unity is Umkhonto weSizwe, because it represents a much broader vision for decolonization, total liberation, and it carries the potential to unite our people more than any other alternative at the moment.
But the EFF speaks the language that is very similar to the MK. And the MK, just came to the fore now. It's not even a year. It will only be a year old next month. So what really made you? I hear you talking about black unity, total liberation, but the fact of the matter is that the EFF does speak that kind of language. So I'm not able to make sense of why you chose a Mercedes versus a BMW. I'm just making.
I hear you.
Yes.
No, I hear you. Let's put it like this. As you've already said, I've been in the game of politics for a long time, almost 50 years now. And so the role of a politician or a revolutionary at that is to take the shortest possible route to the destination of liberation. I'm not one of those people who think that, you must die in the ANC or die in the EFF or even die in MK.
But your new leader believes he's still ANC though.
He is, just as I believe I'm still ANC and EFF and MK. So that's the nuanced message that I think everyone misses. When former President Zuma says, I'm a member of the ANC, but I'm also a member of MK, at face value, that looks ridiculous. But if you know South African politics, you'll be able to hear what he's actually saying. What he's saying is that you cannot throw away all those decades of struggle, and that the ANC has deviated from the destination, as I've said. And therefore, in order to look beyond organizations, and really that's the most central message I want to send, which is to say, let us look beyond organizations. You might have a preference to be in the ANC. The next person might be a preference to be in the EFF, and someone like me might have a preference to be in MK. For whatever reasons you prefer each of those three organizations. But the most important thing is that we must not venerate the organizations as if they are demigods. The organization and the leaders, for that matter, will come and go. But the cause of our people must always be paramount. That is what must drive us. It is the cause. This is where I am now, going to bring about the cause for our people quicker or not? If you ask that question and your answer is ANC, stay there. If you answer that question and your answer is EFF, stay there. If your answer is MK, stay there. But at all times, don't be fixated in that organization. You must have one eye on building that organization, obviously, but the other eye must always be on making sure that the movement of our people is not jeopardized. And that is why I'm saying at this point in time, I am, after a lot of thought about this, I am totally convinced that the vehicle that will galvanize all of us together in a quicker fashion is Umkhonto weSizwe.
Does Floyd have anything to do with your move?
No. Floyd actually has nothing to do with the move. Ironically, we were joking about it, I think, after the elections. Ironically, I am the one who was convincing the leadership of the EFF, even before the elections, about this. And some of them were skeptical, but to his credit, Floyd...
Convincing the leadership of the EFF about?
About this cause of unity. That we should work together.
That you are joining MK?
No.
Okay.
I'm saying convincing the leadership of the EFF and other organizations, by the way. Maybe let me take one step back. Something that your viewers might not know is that there was a time when former President Zuma and I were the only people who knew about this project of the formation of MK. Because we had discussed after the 2022 conference of the ANC, very in depth as to what needs to be done. And we had various options. And so this discussion took about 12 months. So by the time you attended the launch in December of MK, this had been a project that was in the pipeline, in the underground, as he revealed, for about 12 months.
Advocate Mpofu, I just need to get you very clear. So, were you part and parcel of the formation of Umkhonto weSizwe?
Absolutely. For a few months, as I say, there was a time where probably it was just me and former President Zuma who knew about this. And then it moved to a stage where we involved a few other people. In August, we held a meeting with 10 leaders, and you can interview all of them. 10 leaders at another meeting in October of 2023, including leaders of the EFF, leaders of the PAC, UDM, ATM, Areta, at that time there was an organization like that, and
House, that he was leading.
Yes, and the Cody's outfit, the APC. Yes, so all the organizations, Azapo was there. I chaired the meeting of all those leaders and was trying to sell this vision, and President Zuma was present.
Does the EFF know that its member, or now you're no longer the member now, but back then you were the member of the EFF, do they know that you were central in the formation of another political party?
Yes. No, that, fortunately, at my level of political involvement, I cannot play double games. So every step of the way of this project, I was reporting to the EFF leadership.
Have you informed the EFF leadership, particularly Julius Malema?
Well, as it happens, it was a happy coincidence because when I was busy going to write my resignation letter, I happened to speak to the secretary of my branch to check, and he said, well, in any event, he wanted to call me. In fact, he had sent someone to say I needed to renew my membership. So my membership had lapsed, so there was no need to do any resignation. So I just said, well, if my membership has lapsed, then I'm free to make the announcement. And so some people will find out.
Here's the question. Have you informed the leadership of the EFF, particularly Julius Malema? Given that the nature of relations, I mean, you've always been with them together. That's the reason why I'm asking.
No, I haven't, to be fair, and I have tried to reach out to him, but it's not. There's no need to inform anyone at any particular time. I'm sure there's no bad blood, so we will talk.
As a courtesy?
Yes, as a courtesy, I'll extend that courtesy even after this announcement, and I'm sure that our paths will meet in this journey, this difficult journey for unity. And so, as I say, there's nothing personal in this at all. It's not anything that is being done against a particular person. It's something I'm doing for my people.
Well, there was Advocate Dali Mpofu there who has just, for the first time, announced that he is leaving the EFF and joining MK. And interestingly, he's always been central in the formation of the MK.
Family, today I want to talk about the resignation of Dali Mpofu and the response of EFF leadership, Julius Malema, the CIC. There's something that I've noticed about Julius Malema. He always say, don't confuse power with other things. What they can call him a cult, they can call him whatever. This resignation of Dali Mpofu to Malema, it was not something new. Because we remember when the only one that was new, it was the Floyd one. Because he didn't know anything and he didn't see it coming. And he was surprised when Floyd decided to resign from the EFF. But because he called him a brother, though Floyd was not in that same bowl. So, what I'm trying to say here is the resignation of Floyd being countered by Julius Malema responding to it. Julius has revealed some of the things that Dali Mpofu didn't say it in his interview, but most of the things that Dali Mpofu said, they were really corresponding. And he was honest with his interview. He didn't want to let down Malema and say, oh, we have got bad blood with Malema and all this. No. It was just his decision. He thought about it for the longest time because today we got the ready news how MK was formed. Because we have heard some of the MKP members saying, oh, new members are coming in and they are climbing the ladder and doing all that. These people, as far as I'm concerned now, listening to what Dali Mpofu has been saying, they have been cooking this pot for the longest time. But another thing, progressives were part of this cooking because they saw what ANC of Ramaphosa was trying to do with the DA. They saw it coming and they decided to meet up, as Dali Mpofu has elaborated in his interview. But one thing that didn't please Julius Malema, the CIC of the EFF, is that already Dali Mpofu had a draft as to he wanted the EFF to vacate office for the MKP after the 10 years building this organization of the EFF and giving the office to a non-known name. Because before MKP, when these meetings were going on, they wanted to assemble as progressive under one umbrella, which was not even having a political party. Leaving your office as a EFF and joining hands with a political party that doesn't have a name, the head and tail. It didn't make sense. That's where you see Julius Malema, that he is a thinker. We can say a lot of things about Julius Malema. We can hate him, we can insult him, but at the end of the day, that guy, the day he departs this world, a lot of people are going to cry. And a lot of people are going to celebrate because they will say they have won the struggle. Those who hate Malema. Those who want to own the country called South Africa. The sellouts. Those are the ones who are going to celebrate. But a lot of people who are calling him names because of things that they get sometimes on social media and think those are true. Calling Julius Malema a racist, calling Julius Malema a hater, calling Julius Malema a divider. But when you sit down and try to analyze who is Julius Malema, you start to realize this man is a thinker and he's got the interest of the African and the black people at large. But we don't see that picture because we are being fed the lies. Because if lies is being repeatedly said by either anybody telling you that an apple is an orange, repeating that, you will end up believing that that apple is an orange when it's not an orange. This is what they are doing with Julius Malema. Another thing I want to elaborate on. I remember one time I was listening to Helen Zille. Helen Zille understands what Julius Malema really stands for. And he understands that the EFF has got a backbone. And they know what they want. Those were words of Helen Zille. But when it comes to ANC, she has proved to us, Helen Zille, that what she's been saying, that ANC doesn't know what it stands for. It's a proof now that they have joined hands and decided to sell out to the DA. Because DA have manipulated ANC to what they wanted it to be and not what ANC really stands for. Because ANC is the biggest liberation, but it has taken a certain turn. That's why it has failed to get 50% plus one. And they need to do some kind of introspection within themselves. But coming back to this interview of Malema and the one that was done by Dali Mpofu, it was an interview that I could say made somebody who didn't understand what exactly was happening behind the scenes when the progressive were trying to join hands together. Whereby another political leader that I respect, Zungula Zungula said something that we didn't know about it, but Malema, because Malema can keep things, but when he has time when to tell a story. He told us that these meetings have been going on, and Zungula said everybody should assemble under the EFF as a big organization with roots that is well established, a 10-year-old organization, than assembling in an organization of Jacob Zuma that was not even yet established, that was still to be established. There was no MK until 16 June because the meetings took place before then. So when Zuma said to Malema they need to, or Zuma and Mpofu said to the EFF they should assemble under Zuma's umbrella, the umbrella that didn't have a name, when there was a well-established organization that had a name and it had an office, and it's the only organization that has an office in South Africa, that they own that office under their name as an EFF. So Malema refused all these kind of things. So that shows that what kind of a leader Malema is. We can hate him, but that man is a thinker. That's why every time when Malema coughs or whatever happens, it's everywhere in the social media. Now that Mpofu has resigned, there's a guy who has resigned in MK, the SG for the MK. It's not on the social media like what is happening now, the resignation of Dali Mpofu. And I know most journalists are looking for EFF to find out exactly what is happening. But the fact that Malema was quick to just go into their podcast and just say whatever he had to say about it, because there's no bad blood between Mpofu and Malema. That has been cleared by Mpofu, and Malema did clear that one. We are happy about that one. So what do you think, family, about everything that has happened, the response of Malema and the interview of Dali Mpofu? And what do you think about the Dali Mpofu leaving the EFF? Drop your comment respectfully. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Let's build our country together. Bravo, bravo, bravo.